I'm introducing you now to lion's mane. Lion's mane is amazing for cognitive improvement. If you are feeling kind of fuzzy, grayed out, you need more focus, lion's mane is an excellent option. They're even utilizing the substance with pediatrics as young as 4 years old. So you have a kid who's starting to, you're worried about behavioral issues and such, look up lion's mane. It's a natural supplement and it's allowing improvement in your cognitive function.
Hey, this is Katie Walker with Rethink with Revitalist on how we are changing the narrative of mental health. I'm excited to let you know that we are now doing something called 22 Raw, to where we sit down with veterans. We have 22 real-time conversations, raw video, raw verbiage, talking about real-time issues that veterans need to hear. So I hope you enjoy listening to all of these amazing leaders being vulnerable in this space, helping to make the change that's needed. Thanks for watching. This is Katie Walker with Changing the Narrative of Mental Health, and I am very honored to be here with Amber Joy, talking about, from a veteran perspective, really like how are we changing things in the veteran world. And so Amber, thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, so give us a little bit of your background from a veteran perspective.
Sure. So I joined the Army in August of 2001. I served for almost 22 years. I retired a year and a half ago. I grew up in Las Vegas, so this is home for me. I just moved back home in May of this year. And what I did in the military for most of my career was religious affairs. So I had a very spiritual job, a job that we were bringing God to soldiers,
Nice.
and no matter what their God was. So it was really important to make sure that people can practice the religion that they want to practice. And so a lot of it was advocating for that. And then a lot of referrals, counseling, spiritual stuff, church, things of that sort. And just being there for people. That was what I did in the military.
Well, I was going to ask you, I guess the first question, I was going to ask you about, you've been out for a year and a half. How's your transition been?
It was very difficult. I told myself that the Army didn't define me, that I could be whoever I wanted to be. And then I got out and I really lost my purpose, and I lost my, I did very important things in the military, or so I thought. I thought that I was important, right?
Yeah.
And then you get out and you
It's your world.
it is. And as much as I say it's not my identity, it was my identity.
Well, you've been trained.
Yeah, my soul was trained to be a fighter. I fought on very different levels, from physically, I was a fighter for 10 years. And then mentally and spiritually, every facet that you could live in, I fought in.
Yeah.
And to include other countries and going to war in both Iraq and Afghanistan. So I had a diverse story. I went to a lot of places and a lot of countries and a lot of wars. And then you get out and you try and figure out who you are after your heart's been broken 1,000 times. Another thing I did, 3 things a chaplain or chaplain assistant does is care for the wounded, honor the fallen, and the wounded, the fallen, and then also those that are in need, right? So if they're sick, you want to make sure that we're there at hospitals. If they're dying, we want to make sure we're there. After they've passed, we're there for the family. It's a very caregiving role.
Yeah.
So hundreds of memorial ceremonies I worked, and it took a toll on my heart for sure.
Yeah. So that difficult transition that you had, especially with this whole religious background, kind of being that structure, what steps did you take to help yourself?
The first thing I did when I got out was ketamine.
Yeah?
Yeah, I found a company where you could do it at home, and I did 6 sessions at my house in North Carolina. Every week for 6 weeks, I did ketamine, and I noticed it was good and it was healthy, and it helped me process things, like people, relationships, and the military, all in 6 weeks. And Another thing I did was moved away from North Carolina, which was a very military area, to Las Vegas. This is where I grew up. There is an Air Force Base here, but it's not a military town. It's a very touristy, fun place. And I had to remove myself from a military environment in town to include contracting. I was contracting. First I was bartending, and then I was contracting. And then, I quit my job in February, moved to Las Vegas, and I realized that I can't have a boss.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
So I just did some adventures on my own, and life is a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So ketamine is a dissociative anesthetic. It's its only drug in its class. But now they're starting to say that ketamine is, some people are actually classifying it as a psychedelic. Other people are saying, it's a psychedelic, but it's a non-traditional psychedelic. So so it's called like a glutamatergic psychedelic. So ketamine has properties that are similar to, other psychedelic medicines. Have you been around other psychedelic medicines?
Yes, ma'am. So I did. Ketamine was the first thing I did after I retired, and it was good for me. But what I always wanted to do was go to South America and do an ayahuasca retreat.
Okay.
I have veteran friends who have did that, who speak like wonderfully on the benefits of that plant medicine. So I thought I would be going to Peru, going to Costa Rica, going somewhere to where I could find a shaman or go with an already like veteran program. But when I moved back here, I found out that there is an organization called Sacred Soldier Retreat in Las Vegas that does retreats here. And
For veterans primarily.
for veterans,
Just veterans.
only veteran. Yeah, Sacred Soldier is a veteran nonprofit.
Okay.
And they are every quarter they do an event. So I've done 2 now. You don't have, one is fine, but now I also work with them.
You participate in too.
Participate, and I'm a facilitator. I'm a yoga instructor and also an integration coach.
Okay.
For people after they've done ayahuasca for the first time.
So since you've discovered ketamine, discovered ayahuasca, what would you say, how have you changed your life?
Sure. So the whole trajectory changed. I came out to Vegas to be closer to my parents. I thought I needed to be here to help them. But when I got here and I started, so I did ketamine in North Carolina, came to Las Vegas. I did ayahuasca for the first time at the end of June, 2 ceremonies at the end of June. And then in August, I sat with veterans for 4 days with many different healing modalities, all natural, all plants, nothing, like it's not veterans doing drugs. It's veterans in healing ceremonies.
Right.
And after I did that, I was given an amazing business opportunity. I now own a spa out here.
Yeah.
I started Vegas.
Name your business.
So the spa is called Get Nails.
Okay.
So come get nailed in Las Vegas. Legally. Awesome. And then, so I'm a part owner of that spa. And then I started Vegas Rocks, which is very new still. Vegas Rocks is conscious jewelry where I team up with other businesses like Sacred Soldiers, another one that feeds the homeless out here called Holy Smokes. So what I do is I have a jewelry line for those organizations. And if you buy from that jewelry line, 50% of the proceeds goes to them.
Nice.
So for Sacred Soldiers, when you're buying a Sacred Soldier mala or a ring or an earrings, you are helping to send veterans to Sacred Soldier retreats.
Okay.
It's a great, I'm stoked to be here because this is like our first event together.
Yeah, con. So here's a big question. Psychedelics and your role as the religious spiritual piece in the military. Like, I know the power in that there, but like, how would you best describe to a veteran who's maybe atheist, agnostic, never been to church, doesn't believe in any of that stuff, and then the psychedelic space, like, how would you speak to them to let them know that like going in this space is okay?
Well, I love to share my story of the things that have happened since I sat with Aya, since I sat in ceremony. And what I tell people is that Like, no matter what your intention is, no matter what's hurting on the inside, no matter what your issues are in your life, when you sit in ceremony, your life will change. Your perspective will change. You come out of ceremony with new lenses. Like, I had a boyfriend the first time I did ceremony, and we broke up. And normally a breakup, and I've known this man 30 years, and fell in love with him and then broke up, right? Old Amber, prior to doing ceremony, my whole world would have been crushed.
Sure.
Every single part of everything, you know? And Aya somehow comes in and like gives you hugs, like tells you it's gonna be okay. Ceremony lasts about 5 to 6 hours. And in that time, you're almost in a dream state. Answers are being answered. Questions are being asked of you that you have to really dig deep. I mean, I never thought I would own a spa. Like, that's not anything that I dreamt about or tried to achieve. It literally, the day after, was put in front of me. And I was like, oh, maybe this is my path. Like, I like getting my nails done, you know, and it was a good deal. And I went for it, and it just like that happened. I don't know that I would have had the motivation to start Vegas Rocks without having a clear space in my head. I literally went for 22 years nonstop.
Yeah.
If I wasn't in war, I was preparing for a war. If I wasn't preparing for a war, I was doing all of the ucky stuff that the military says you have to do. That isn't normal. Like, it's not normal to go to ranges and shoot guns and then go to war and shoot those same guns. Like, those aren't normal things. It's not normal to be shot at. It's not normal. I'm just gonna throw this out there, but like MST, military sexual trauma is huge. I've gone to war with men that I would have died for, and then come home and get raped. Like, that is something I didn't know how to heal from, and I continued to serve and continue to go to war and continued to get raped because I served for my country and for my soldiers to my left and right, and like, there really wasn't time to stop and be like, hey, this isn't right.
Right.
And if you do, if you speak out, like, you're not going to get promoted. You're not going to be looked at as a fighter. Like, there's a lot of very bad things that come with that. And unfortunately, and I will say, with Sacred Soldier, like, you deal with those things that you really push down. And they come up, you deal with it, and you heal. And you move forward. Like I am so much gratitude for Sacred Soldier retreats, so much gratitude for the facilitators there. And then to become a facilitator, like, I didn't know that was gonna happen either. So it's
Learning to live in the moment.
and have an open heart. Like, when you have an open heart, when you're serious about your healing, then everything happens that you don't expect, but is in alignment with your higher self, is in alignment with who you're meant to be.
Yeah. Right.
So, yeah.
And that's a piece of it, right? And I think that's the cool thing is, like, you know, psychedelics give you the power to be able to sit with yourself, and then you can sit with yourself. Like, that's where you find your ultimate alignment, and that's where you become empowered in who you are. And, you know, and you feel like the decisions that you're making, you're like, all right, well, let's try it. Like, let's see if it feels right, you know, but you really learn how to sit with yourself and kind of pour your cup before you pour others.
That's funny you said that, because I asked the shaman once, and I've sat 6 times with the same shaman, and halfway, maybe 3 times into it, I asked him, I said, you know, I'm really good at giving from an empty cup. I will give everyone the half a cup that's left in mine. And he said, Aya's ready to pour so much water that the stuff that's overflowing from you will go to their cups. And before, I was just like, oh, I have half a cup. Here, let me give it to you. Are you thirsty? Can I give you my half of cup?
Yeah.
And so now I've learned that, like, I don't have to give the way I was giving before, because my cup does runneth over. Like, it is so full.
That's awesome.
It's so full. And to watch, like, where I was at the beginning of summer to today, like, it's black and white.
Yeah.
Like, I look at the mirror, I look at myself in the mirror, and I pound myself, like I high five the mirrors now.
Yeah.
I can look in the mirror and be like, you're pretty.
Yeah.
You look beautiful today.
Yeah.
And that wasn't something I could do this summer. I couldn't say like, I would find the flaws. I would say like, you gotta lose weight here. You maybe let's cut your hair a little different, or, and now I'm like, you're fucking pretty. Sorry, so now I'm allowed to cut.
Okay, absolutely. Oh, okay. But yeah, so what would you say, like, if you were in your shoes a year and a half ago, unfortunately you had leadership skills to like step outside the box and to look at these things, but what would you tell a veteran who's getting out of the military? Maybe they've been out for 6 months now and they're like, okay, I'm still not feeling right. Like, what would you tell them?
Let's talk real quick about suicide.
Yeah.
So many veterans get out, and when they lose that purpose and they can't find anything that works, death is on the option. Like, death is an option.
Sure.
And so I have learned that, yes, all the hundreds of memorial ceremonies I worked in the military were hard. But when my friends started dying, and now I'm retired, and they're out, and they're dying by suicides, drug overdose, many addictions, like, I wish they would have done ayahuasca first, because ayahuasca will change your mind on how you love yourself. Ayahuasca will give you purpose. There is so many veterans that are hurting. I lost, within the first month of retirement, 3 of my friends killed themselves. 3. None of them knew each other. One was a drug overdose. One was a Green Beret that stepped in front of a train, and the other one hung himself in his house with his 3 kids and wife asleep. So if those 3 friends of mine would have came to Sacred Soldier or any other healing retreat, I guarantee they'd be alive right now. 100%.
Yep.
100%, because many people who get into drugs as a way to cope and deal, I might sometimes call that suicide too, because when you overdose, you were just looking for something,
Right.
In Las Vegas, recreational marijuana is legal. So I moved back here and I was smoking every single day of May, every day in June until the last 2 weeks, where you do a diet 2 weeks prior to our retreats, and I didn't smoke marijuana for 2 weeks prior to, and I came out maybe once a week. There was no vice. Like, I had no vice. So ayahuasca's also a good medicine, a good plant medicine that takes your addictions. I'm not saying I was addicted to pot, but I was smoking it every day for a couple months.
Right. It was an ineffective coping mechanism.
Yeah. And I was just telling myself, like, oh, I have PTSD, I have TBI, it's okay to smoke. Like, oh, I have some anxiety, I'm gonna relax with some smoking. But like, and I do think that there's a place for that plant. But in my life, there was, like, I don't need to smoke every day.
Right.
So yeah, it makes you really think about your vices, and we have so many of them.
Yep. I talk to people a lot about suicide, and I'll tell them, because like everybody's like, oh, I didn't know they were depressed, like, and we like to say depression with suicide. I always like to talk to people about like the suicide piece is like control versus out of control. Everybody says, oh, you need a balanced brain. And I firmly believe that our brain is balanced at all times, but it's balanced good, bad, or ugly, right? It's just matching its polarities is kind of what the brain does. So like when we hit conflict, it's kind of when we have an identity change. That conflict is like when you left the military, right? Your identity changed. You are no longer the person prior to the military. You're no longer the person in the military. You are now a new person going to the next phase of life. And we lose our purpose because we've not created purpose. So I talk to people a lot about, like, with the suicidal piece, if you feel like out of control, the brain will match that with over control. So a lot of times when people have suicidal ideations, they're trying to balance that, and they feel like they're trying to over control the situation, and it gives them a sense of peace, like, oh no, I'm back in control because I want to kill myself and take myself out of this. So I'll ask people, it's like, if you have suicidal thoughts, it's like step back and like make a list and say, like, why do I feel out of control right now in life? And why is my brain doing this? Because right now it's like, oh, when we have suicidal thoughts, oh,
go to your ER, call 911, and then we'll institutionalize you and put tons of medications and restrain you and all this horrible stuff. But it's like, if we have this thought that we want to hurt ourselves and we sit back and instead be like, wait a minute, hold on, just had a thought of killing myself. I don't want to kill myself, but why did that happen? If we're able to make a list of, well, here's a lot of the stress in my life that I feel out of control of. And that was my brain's way of saying, oh, I got it, So we're like making it more analytical, from that standpoint. And that's the piece I think, and a lot of veterans are really starting to come out and talk about these things. But it's like, when you all get out of the military, you're not going back to a civilian life. You're moving forward to a civilian life. And we've got to help retrain or train, not even retrain, but train this new path in life that you're living, because you don't know. We just put you out on your own. It's like people who got out of prison, for 30 years. We're like, we know for a fact people who got out of prison have to have transition materials to help them. And for some reason, we just don't do that with the military. We just expect, oh no, it's gonna be great. It's calm. You're gonna be out of that war zone. You don't have to deal with that stuff anymore. But no, it's like, you're still a warrior. Now you have to train the warrior how to go back in the civilian world, how to find purpose again, how to figure out what that motivation looks like, how to learn how to sit with yourself and feel peace and calm.
It's hard.
It is.
It's hard to find the calm when your life has been chaos.
100%. And the similarities too.
Yes. And I was born into chaos. And then I found a career with chaos, with lots of crazy. The month before 9/11, I joined. And this was like, I was like, wait a minute. I was 17 when I joined, 18 when I left for basic. And then a month into basic, 9/11 happens. And I was like, God, I didn't sign up. Like, I just wanted to go to college. And so I went to college, 4 different colleges, because I kept moving. I don't have a degree. I have a lot of college credits. Yeah. And I have a lot, I probably just need to take a class or 2 to get a degree. But what I learned was, I can't get out after 4 years because we're at war. And now I'm going to partake. And then I'm going to come home and I can't get out yet because they need me. They need me. And I got into this cycle of accepting the chaos.
Yep.
And I was very comfortable in chaos. I'm very flexible. I can do anything because chaos is what I'm used to. And so when I retired and everything stopped, I bartended, and I was like, I lasted 4 months as a bartender. Then I got this government contracting job. I was contracting at the Green Beret School, and I was loving my job. It was very purposeful.
Yeah.
And one day I realized I need to be in Vegas. And as much as I like this position, and I was on my way to making the most money I ever had with, my retirement, my disability, and this contracting job. I was like, I'm gonna have so much money. But money is nothing when you don't have peace.
And we'll die the same.
Yeah, money just doesn't matter. It really doesn't when you're trying to just figure out how to breathe.
Yeah.
Figure out how to yoga was such a big, important thing in my life. And so yoga is always going to be a part of my journey. Yoga is what I get to help out at with Sacred Soldiers. I get to bring that kind of energy to the group before they go to ceremony. I get to help people be in touch with their energy and their body and their stress and where they hold their stress. And then they release it in ceremony, And so it's I'm glad I found Josh, who is the founder, Najib. Josh and Najib are the masterminds behind Sacred Soldier, and I was just an attendee. And it was just so profound, and so I'm super stoked. I believe Vegas Rocks is now a sponsor of Sacred Soldiers, and so if you buy the Sacred Soldier line, you literally send people at a cheaper or free cost. So that I'm very passionate about you shouldn't have to have a lot of money to heal.
Yeah.
And I wish ayahuasca was free for everyone. I wish the military would buy ayahuasca and make people do it after war.
After they get out.
Yeah. Oh no. While they're still in, like, go to ayahuasca.
Right.
Go. You want to, like, did you just experience something traumatic? Have some plants.
Yeah.
Because I just think the VA is always going to over medicate you. They're always going to throw medicine at you. The army, the military doctors, like, everybody throws medicine at you.
And that's why we got to change it.
And that's also why people are killing themselves. Like, if you're over medicated, you're also not thinking straight. When you're when you're on, at one time, 11 or 12 years ago, I was on 8 different medications that the army doctors gave me, and I started hallucinating. You can't tell doctors in the army you see things.
Yeah,
It's like, oh, you need to go to the mental hospital. I'm like, no, I just need something that's not going to make me trip out. Like, I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm seeing things. Like, it's just so unhealthy.
Yeah.
You know, it's so unhealthy to take so much medication. And I believe, and I will always believe, that plants are better and safer and healthier than anything made with chemicals, anything made in a pharmacy. Like, take a plant.
Yeah.
Try the right plant before you take all the crazy medications.
Yeah. I think we're in a really good time of, like, transition, like, into the whole universe, you know, with all the plants and psychedelics and spiritual findings and all this stuff. So if somebody was wanting to seek out Sacred Soldier, how would they do that?
There's an Instagram page. Sacred Soldier Retreats is the Instagram. I believe that's the website as well, Sacred Soldier. I don't know the website by heart, but I know if you have Instagram, it's Sacred Soldier Retreats.
Okay.
And yeah, it's.
And your biggest rocks, how would they find that?
Go to my Instagram, which is The Journey of Amber Joy.
Yeah.
And that's probably the easiest way to link. And I have a lot of things pinned, like Sacred Soldiers. And
Okay.
yeah, so that's another, Journey of Amber Joy or Sacred Soldier Retreat. So yeah.
Well, thanks for being here.
Thank you so much for having me. Yeah, I appreciate it.
Anything you want to say to round it up?
Yeah, like, if you're a veteran or active duty, it doesn't matter. Like, if you are on the fence about psychedelics, if you are on the fence about your life, if you don't know how to live, hit us up.
Yeah.
I love that, because we got you. We got you break.
If you don't know how to live, I love that. Yeah, because nobody has taught us how to live. Everybody just expects it come normally, and sometimes we need a little bit more guidance to the psychedelic spaces allowing us. So thanks for being here. Thanks for being always saying. Thank you for watching this episode. I hope that it brought you some insight and some impact into your life. For more on Revitalist, check out revitalist.com. Be sure to subscribe to this, as we are going to continue to change the narrative on mental health by bringing in a whole facet of groups in order to help address this global mental health crisis that we are all feeling. So thank you so much to the partners that were on this episode, and to get more information about them, please click on the links below.